Here with the latest on Casey Anthony. Again, call us 855-DR-Drew5. Mark, what happens now that she comes off probation? Is she free to walk in the world? Is she safe to walk in the world? Are there future problems ahead for her?
Well, being free and being safe are two different issues. Legally, she's free to do whatever she wants. She has the same rights as you and I once her probation terminates. Is she safe? Well, she was just recently on the top 10 list at the #1 spot of the most hated person in the United States, maybe even in the world. So I think there's always people who will look to take her down. So I think that her concerns about her safety are justified.
And Bethany, one of the things that interested me most about this case was our reaction to her. Why did it galvanize us? Why did it preoccupy us so much?
Well, it galvanizes us because the idea of a mother who would potentially, I know she was acquitted, kill her child. None of us want to think about our own mommies that way. But Mark, you said that she's potentially free to go in the world. Is Casey Anthony ever free from herself? Her offending pattern has started already. She's on probation because she stole a check from Amy Huizenga, and what does she do? During her probationary period, she moved straight into the house of a minister. And the minister's wife is now complaining that Casey Anthony is selfish. So
hold the presses. Casey Anthony is selfish. Hold on a second.
Can we even save Casey Anthony from herself?
Mark, I don't think so. What do you think?
Well. Hold on. Let me make this very clear. First of all, she's free legally. Emotionally, I have no idea. But I'm going to be, Drew, I've always been honest with you. My father told me when I was very little that the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And I'm telling you, I'm indifferent. I don't care what Casey Anthony does with the rest of her life. I really don't.
I sort of agree with you, and yet people do seem to keep wanting to talk about her. Let's do one little piece of dissection. And Bethany, what did you think actually happened there? The only thing I know about her is that she was a severe liar, like unbelievable lying, which belies a severe character problem, does it not?
I think she's cluster B. I think she's a sociopath, antisocial, borderline, narcissistic. She is a petri dish full of psychopathology. And when you keep in mind those disorders, reckless disregard and lack of concern for the rights and safety of others, failure to pay back debts to society, parasitic lifestyle, doesn't bond, lies, cons, manipulates, drug use, promiscuity, she doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of being safe to herself or to other people, especially since the offending pattern has begun.
So just like O.J., we will hear from her again, right? She can't stop herself. Her pathology will emerge. Let's take a call. Catherine in Kentucky. Catherine.
Okay. I think comparing her to O.J. is a little kind of off. I mean, when you see O.J. in public, you knew it was O.J. You know,
I'm comparing her in the sense, Catherine, that what Bethany Martha was just saying is that she has significant pathology that will cause her to engage in behaviors that will put her back into the public scrutiny.
And also, O.J. was a sociopath, and what that means is he was a parasite. He was not bonded to others. He lacks a conscience. He has a hole in the conscience. Casey Anthony, he has a hole in her conscience so huge you could drive a truck through it. And what happens is
here's the greatest similarity.
Go ahead, Mark.
Drew, the biggest similarity to me is that both were acquitted of horrific homicides, but everyone believes that they did it. And that's the similarity that we all just have to get over it. We have to move on. What we believe clearly are miscarriages of justice.
But you know what? The reason we can't move on is there will be another victim, because here's her offending pattern. She's going to find a guy, and like women who have borderline, she is going to cling and then reject. She's going to have a baby to hold on to the guy. Then, when the guy doesn't want the baby, she'll have to get rid of the baby. There will be another victim, and that's why we need to care about Casey Anthony.
Wow, you're predicting further murders,
There's
or at least
nothing we can do.
neglect.
What can we do?
Well, yeah, well...
What can we do? We're going to follow her around?
I don't...
all day long and watch every movement? She has rights. You can't.
Terry in Florida. Terry, you got a comment?
Oh, I got more than a few, Dr. Drew.
But all right, man. Sir, go ahead.
I just don't understand. I mean, she shouldn't be free. She should have gotten a death penalty or life in prison. You know, I mean, everybody knows she did it. It's just, I think the trial was like a circus, a crock. You know, a bias trying to make a joke out of everything and point the fingers at her father. said that Zenaida Gonzalez took her. They tried to blame, the utility worker, Mr. Kronk.
Yeah, Terry, you raise a lot of issues, and that the Zenaida case is still yet to come. But he does raise an interesting question about the family. What are your thoughts on that family?
On the Casey Anthony family, I think that probably they did not create a monster. I think she came into this world genetically predisposed towards sociopathy, but her parents didn't do anything to stop it. If you have the genetic predisposition and your parents don't put limits, it's like a speeding train coming down the track.
Is there anything the parents should do now?
Set limits.
Right. This is what they should remember. This girl had them duped into believing she was in high school. She didn't finish high school. They should have right then gotten professional help.
However, Cindy Anthony did go to a social worker who told her that she should get Casey Anthony to take responsibility for the child. And what did Casey do? She went and killed her child. So when you get a sociopath to take responsibility, you better watch over their shoulder.
So I'm not sure I hear for sure, Bethany. Should it be to come in and set limits and boundaries around Casey? Or maybe the family should cut ties entirely and just stand back?
I don't know. Let her loose on society?
Well, I wouldn't, but if that family were sufficiently done with her, Mark, would you give up on someone like that and say, I've had enough of this, you burned me out, that's it, I've done everything I can, you're an adult? In fact,
it depends. That is the first thing.
Mark, you know what I do? Mark, if I had an adult child that was behaving like this, I would make sure the legal system got their hands on them and try to make sure that these things were found out about them, so she was something that was contained from the rest of society.
True, but as we go forward right now, they are as powerless over her as an addict is over their addiction. They can't control her right now. She is an adult. She can do what she wants. Now we go back with the clock. I think both of the Anthony parents did the best they could at their level of awareness. I don't think that they foresaw their daughter killing their grandchild.
But let's say that sociopathy is a disorder of detachment, meaning the sociopath does not attach to self or others, other than as a need-satisfying object, an object to gratify their every need.
Like sex or drugs and things that they make you feel sort of good in the moment, but they don't really exist as an agent. Other people don't exist to you, really, when you're a sociopath.
A guy is a wallet. A mommy is a person to supply potato chips and a couch to lie on. So people just supply things for her. The only thing that's going to override that is attachment, because when we love other people, we have a conscience. If her parents can continue to try to reach her in some way, maybe I'm overly hopeful, but try to attach.
If she's borderline, that may be possible. If she's a psychopath, that will never happen. As you say, it's genetically predisposed, and they have a hole in that part of their brain.
That's right. We call it Superego Lacuna, a hole in the conscience. Think about it like Swiss cheese. It's mostly cheese, but a lot of big holes all the way through. So the hole is where the conscience should be.
And they can seem normal because the rest of the cheese is there if you don't come across the hole. But then all of a sudden, where it counts, where you need them, where you need them to empathize with you, where you need them to care, it's just empty sack.
And that is where your brilliant question, is she safe to herself and is she safe to society, comes in, because she looks normal. These guys are not schizophrenic. They're not walking down the street talking to themselves. They look like you and me. She's beautiful. That's why we wanted to watch her on TV. But I would say that if she was my patient, I would go down the sociopath checklist: lying, conning, manipulation, parasitic lifestyle, and I would ask her about her behaviors in that area and get her to reflect on the consequences of that behavior. For instance, I bet she stole at some point in that minister's house. I would get her to talk about that, to take responsibility, and get her to think about where is that going to end her up eventually.